I'm Doug Barbin, National Managing Partner here at Shellman, and today I'm with Matt Hungate, our Managing Partner for our federal practice. We're going to talk about some exciting updates that were announced recently.
FedRAMP is definitely keeping industry on their toes. So they did drop 6 new requests for comment. A lot of exciting things, I think, happening in the FedRAMP space. A couple that we'll touch on today, I'm sure, that are going to really directly impact a lot of the cloud service providers that are not yet into the federal space. So I'm excited to see where public comment goes and where things get finalized, because I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity moving forward for folks that have been trying to get into the federal space for a long time that just haven't been able to do it for a variety of reasons.
Sure. So the caveats, you say request for comment. It's out there, it's for comment. It's not law, right? This is a dialogue, this is a discussion that the PMO has been very good about working with industry, working with experienced successors like ourselves to get feedback, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So not official guidance, but I think the direction that FedRAMP is moving is very clear in terms of the vision, how they want to move forward from an automation perspective and make things easier for industry. So I think that the things what we'll talk about today are going to be relatively high level in the sense that we don't expect a lot of these things to be changing necessarily once the comment period closes. The actual in the weeds nuances, I'm sure there will be some of that back and forth with the comment period, but when it comes to kind of the vision and how things are moving, I think it's, again, very clear that FedRAMP has kind of that vision defined and they're going to be executing on it.
So the one that's near and dear to my heart, as you know, we've worked across many, if not most, of the compliance, different regulations, different programs, PCI, ISO, SOC, obviously, which we're extensive experience in. So I was excited to see the introduction of the allowance, we'll say, or the consideration of existing certifications. Right? We have hundreds, actually more than 1,000 clients that we work with every single year that have, at different stages of their compliance journey and have different customer requirements on their own, right? We've seen clients go from SOC 2 to ISO certification, then bridge out into federal to healthcare, where their customer base, obviously, in many cases is taking them, right? So I was excited to see that these other industry standards, something that the FedRAMP PMO has talked about for some time, this came up in the FedRAMP legislation, right? The consideration of other standards for companies that are building complex compliance programs and actually get maybe an opportunity to reuse some of the good work that they've done. So tell me what's happened there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is going to be a huge step forward, especially when I think you used the word, the reuse of some of the work that's already been done. I want to be very careful and not necessarily use the term reciprocity, because I think that can create some confusion. But I think that the way FedRAMP is moving is that they recognize that the SOC 2 and the ISO 27001 or your high trust or GovRAMP assessment and kind of the work that you've done there, there is a lot of overlap and what, again, the FedRAMP 20X requirements are. So what is happening or what they're proposing to happen with this new RFC is that, again, if you have the SOC 2, you need to, again, map that back to a subset of the 20X KSIs to demonstrate that you are meeting those KSIs from a FedRAMP perspective. And that in itself will allow you to get listed as a level 1 kind of authorization or certification on the marketplace, which allows agencies then to come in and not necessarily issue a permanent authorization. It's more of a limited kind of pilot kind of use case of agency A wants to use cloud service provider B to build out a use case on it before they fully commit long-term from a resourcing perspective or money and time perspective. So the level 1 kind of certification or assessment that would result from it would be, again, a 12-month type of period for that limited pilot kind of use case build out.
When you look at it from a business perspective, right, the agencies desperately want to use this new and leading edge technology, right, to be more efficient, to run their programs better and so forth. Companies that provide these technologies have had multiple problems, right? One was the huge FedRAMP bar, right? You go from a 50 control, sub 50 sometimes control SOC 2 report or 100 control ISO certification, and now you're talking FedRAMP, right? You're 300, 400 plus things, and you've got pen testing, all of these other different things that go into this. So love to see that, like you said, we can build on that, right? They're providing a path to say, okay, we can start here in this particular use case. The other thing I like about what you just said is that these agencies want to use the software, and before it was like you had to go through a process, you had to get it approved, and the CSPs, the cloud providers couldn't even get in there, right? Like you needed an agency to sponsor. You almost needed to sell the thing before you were able to give a trial version, right? So is that what you're saying, that now they don't need an agency sponsor? They can go and they show them what they've got, meet these core, these key security requirements and indicators, these KSIs, and then they can go in, start trialing, start demoing in low risk type of scenario.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And kind of the RMS speak that the government typically kind of works on is think of this as like an interim authority to test, right? Where it's not a full on permanent authorization to put very sensitive data in. It's really meant to be that test use case. So I think, that in itself allows industry to come in and prove their value, prove their worth.
That's right.
And then if agencies see the value in it, then they're going to move up that maturity kind of life cycle of level 2 through potentially level 6 are kind of the new levels that FedRAMP just dropped as well. So obviously the sensitivity of data that you can put in these systems are going to increase as you kind of go up that maturity kind of roadmap.
Let's say I'm a cloud provider now. I've gotten in, I've been doing my SOC 2, I do ISO certification, maybe I do HIPAA as well, things like that, because I deal with a lot of different customers. I'm in now, I've shown that I map to the KSIs, I get in, I'm in this level 1 program, and the agency's testing it, they love what we're doing, they love what the software does. Where do I go from here?
Once you've kind of, again, proven the worth in terms of, or the value in the sense of, my product is not only meeting kind of the subset of KSIs, but my product is meeting the needs of the agency from an actual operational perspective. Again, there's a number of things that could happen. I'd say most likely is that the agency is going to say, hey, CSP, now that we've kind of we understand your product, we know that it meets our use cases. Now we need to get you to level 2 or level 3.
Got it.
Authorization.
I worked here, low sensitivity, and I want to work
Absolutely.
my way up the stack, just like we've seen historically as well, right? From companies going from low to moderate to high to IL6 and so forth. This is that path. Well, that's great. I'm excited about this. I think this opens a door. It creates what the FedRAMP director has stated many times. He wants to expand the marketplace, expand access to software and services. So I think this is great. I'm excited to tell all of our clients about it, because to be honest, over the course of how long have we been doing this? Was it 2013, 12 years? 12, 13 years. So FedRAMP has scared many clients away. It's like you go to SOC 2 to ISO, high trust even sometimes, which is a little bit scary, but then they get to FedRAMP, like, oh, I can't do FedRAMP, right? So super excited about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wanted to talk real quick about Rev 5, right? Rev 5 is the extension or the maturity of the existing program that's been in place, right? That agencies have typically sponsored, DoD, et cetera, companies have gone through. There was an update to Rev 5 recently as well. What was that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is, again, very important for CSPs to know, because I think a lot of the conversations we have is that, again, they may be talking to multiple agencies that they want to use their product, but they don't have the resources to actually sponsor them through the process, right? And Rev 5, as it stands today, still is the most common kind of authorization framework used by agencies, even though we know 20X is continuing to grow. It's still in the pilot phases. It's going to take some time before agencies get comfortable with it. So I think what's really important and what I'm excited about is that FedRAMP is also addressing kind of that Rev 5 market as well with these updates. And most notably as part of the recent, again, draft public comment here with the RFC is that they are introducing an actual FedRAMP certification path, meaning that FedRAMP is going to operate as what used to be kind of that sponsoring agency, right? So the bottleneck has always been getting that sponsoring agency. With this new update, that no longer is a requirement, meaning that you can pursue FedRAMP FedRAMP, you still need your assessment by a 3PAO. You still need to meet all the controls, have everything in place. And then instead of that sponsor and agency doing the review, it's FedRAMP doing the review and issuing an actual FedRAMP certification versus an initial agency ATO.
I mean, I can't be more excited about this. Working with, hundreds of clients over the course of the years, the number one issue was you had cloud providers out there that had bona fide solutions that they could sell to the federal government, solutions that we have gone in and tested and validated, and they knew would meet the very high bar that FedRAMP has set, right? But there's this commercial piece, right? There's this I can't get someone to sponsor me to get in there. So I think that's great. And so what's the process that a company would go about doing that today?
Yeah. So again, there's still a lot of kind of moving pieces with the RFC. I'm sure there's things that are going to change in terms of like the actual in the weeds, like what are the requirements. But again, at a very high level, there's not a whole lot that's changing from, again, the traditional Rev 5 path, other than that agency sponsorship is no longer a bottleneck.
So it's not the what, it's more the who that does the authorization, right?
And there are going to be some nuances as well, where again, FedRAMP's goal here is not just to continue Rev 5 indefinitely, so that they want anyone that's going to pursue this FedRAMP certification path by the PMO directly to start leaning into some of the 20X standards as well. So there are going to be some of the automation requirements and that FedRAMP is calling it the Rev 5 kind of balancing and improvements. So making sure that, again, you are still adopting some of those 20X standards, even though you're technically going the Rev 5 path.
I will encourage any of our clients to reach out. There's a lot of acronyms. There's a lot of levels that you talked about. We are the experts in helping people decipher that.